I would like to first of all pay my condolence or say my condolence message to you on the passing of the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari. May Allah have mercy on his soul. I know you're very close to the family of the late President Buhari, and you're like a daughter.
Yes.
And I would just like to know, by the minute that you got the news of the passing of the former president, what came to your mind? What was the tension? What was the things going in your mind at the time?
As Muslims, with the total submission to the will of God, I had a feeling for the past 2 weeks. I've been restless, and I didn't know why. I haven't been eating much or sleeping much, but I knew like something was telling me maybe something was about to happen. I usually get that when something like this will happen. So I was, then the passing of late Alhaji Aminu Dantata came. I was like, okay, maybe that's
Good for
yeah.
you.
So, and then, but the feeling still did not leave me. And fast forward yesterday, around 4:30, I fell asleep. And as I fell asleep, after like some minutes or maybe an hour or so, my son, he's named after late President Buhari, he woke me up. And because I know he wasn't feeling well, my son wasn't, because usually, funny enough, whenever the late president is sick, my son is always sick.
Oh,
Yes, I don't understand,
the mystery.
Yeah, so it always happens. Like that time he had the air problem. My son also had an infection there. So he woke me up and he was like, is it true that Baba Buhari is gone? I didn't want to say, oh, it's a lie, because I know there has been rumors over the week, of his passing. So I just opened my phone and I saw a lot of messages coming in. And I opened the message and I was like, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. I just felt numb. I sat down in my room, just quiet. And, no matter what, once they tell you somebody is gone, that's it. There's no, there wouldn't be another time for you to say, oh, let me correct some things or try to reach out to them on some issues and stuff. So, and I just sat down. We look at death, sometimes it happens everywhere, every day, everywhere. But you never see it close to you, until it happens. And that was like a big blow for me, really. And I felt sad. I was a bit distraught.
You knew the former president, not just as a national figure, but as a family friend. I would even say you grew up to know Mr. President, as we usually call when he was in power. What would you say Mr. President is behind the camera, away from Aso Rock, away from the public eye, in personal space? How would you describe Mr. President, former president?
He is very funny. He's very simple and very humble. There was a time he was in London, sometime in 2004, when he came, and I went to see him with my friends. So after I had left, he sent me some money. So my dad gave me the money and he was like, he said I should give you this money. I was like, how did he get 500 pounds to give me? This was in 2004. And I know him to be somebody that is very, he's just comfortable. So I felt like taking that much from him was a bit, too much. So when I went back to see him, I was like, I saw your message yesterday. Where did you get 500 pounds to give me? And he was like, yes, I don't have money like other people, but I have money to give you. Just simple, just something that you could use to buy something. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then there was a time he came for my graduation. Actually, in the school, Regent's Business School, the Regent's College, actually, there are 5 universities, and I studied in one of them, my undergrad, and I studied 3 masters in another one, just same school, and Webster Graduate School. And in the history of the school, I was the first and only person that has ever studied 3 masters in the school. So, and I was speaking with my dean, and he was like, "Oh, by the way, how is Mr. Buhari?" I was like, you know him? He was like, "Yeah, I admire him a lot." I was like, "Okay, I can get him to come for my graduation." I didn't even ask him. So I called him on a Tuesday. I said, "Baba, I want you to do me an honor to attend my graduation." He was like, "Oh, okay, why not? When is it?" I said, "On Saturday." He was like, "Okay, no problem. I'll be there." He was in Nigeria then, and he flew in on Thursday, I think, and he saw his dentist. He goes to, see his dentist in London. And on Saturday, he was there before us on time. And he sat, because I had already made arrangements. Usually they just give 2 tickets. And he sat there with his wife, and he came with about more than 5 people. Yes. His aides, his wife's younger brother, and, a couple of people. And he sat down. Where he sat down, there was no program of events. And he snatched hers, and he was like, "Is it only women they give?" Jokingly, always joking. And after we had finished from the church where they do the ceremony, yes, we walked from Malbourne Road to Regent's Park, where the school is situated. It belongs to the Queen. It's a private compound that belongs to the Queen. That's where the university is. So when we were at the park, people were coming to greet him, Nigerians, non-Nigerians, it was, very nice. And then after everything had finished, people had finished drinking, eating, snacks and stuff. I saw him and my dad picking up glasses, drink glasses from the floor. Because when people drink, sometimes they just throw it away. And they were picking it up and, calling the people to come and take it off them. And I felt that was very humble. It was really an honor for me, because I don't recall, or I have never seen or heard anybody close to him that he's ever been to their graduation. So it is one thing I hold very dear. And also another thing, when I was getting married, I wanted somebody I respected to stand for me as a father. So I told my father, and he was like, "But you're closer to him than me. Why don't you ask him?" And I, like always, I just made a phone call. I was like, "Baba, I'm getting married, and I would love for you to be to stand in for my, yes, as my father, as my Waliy." And he did not hesitate. He was there, on time as usual. And he signed my marriage certificate. And in 2004, when I was with him, I told him, I said, "When I have my child, my first son will be your namesake." And he was like, "Oh, really?" So when I had my baby, he was president then. I got married in 2013. I was in the villa, but we never met. Then in 2016, April, I had my son, and I named him after him. And he sent His Excellency Senator Ibikule Amosun to me, and wished me, and yes. And then on 1st October 2016, I attended the 1st October celebrations in Villa while I was working there, but I didn't have access to the president's side, and I didn't have an invitation. And I was just standing by the door, and one of the securities was like, "Go, it's a celebration, why don't you go?" And it was just like, wasn't planned. And I was, after the ceremony, they had finished, and they were walking down the corridor. And usually people step aside because he doesn't stop. And as he was walking, he was watching people, and he saw me from afar. And he called my name. I was like, "Zainab." So yeah, I was so happy. I ran through the security because, they barricaded everywhere. So I went to meet him. I was standing in front of him. He was walking along with the entire entourage, like the most powerful people in Nigeria. There was the vice president, there was the Senate president. I think the speaker was Honorable Dogara. At that time, he wasn't there. There was the CGN, the ministers, they were just right there. And he stood and he was asking me how I was, where have I been? He hasn't seen me, why haven't I come? I was like, Baba, you're powerful now. It's not that easy to see you. And besides, this villa is not a place that, they just allow you like that. And he was like, you need to come and see me. Then he called one of his people, was like, please, I need you to get her to see me. And they never did.
That's an emotional one, I'll say, because I think you're even closer to the late former president than I imagine, because it's a lot of sacrifice for someone to attend your graduation, even if it's not the type of things that they do. So growing up around someone so revered and controversial, you will say, because if you look at the number of times the former president vied for office before getting in 2015, aside being a military ruler and all that, um, what would you say is one thing perhaps most Nigerians never saw in former late president? You've mentioned that the way the man jokes around and all that. What's that one thing that Nigerians do not know?
He was very humble. He was very humble. When you sit with him, you would not think that he's the same person that people are talking about. So I guess it's like that. Most people judge you from, the outside and from actions of other people or from what they feel, they think they know. But when you're close to someone and when you get close, it's really a very different, yes,
lens or perspective. Yes. You think history will be kind to Muhammadu Buhari, or with time will further divide opinions on the kind of legacy the late former president left behind?
Well, that's hard to say, but I know so far the people around me and the people he has touched their lives, I know that they don't have anything, bad to say about him. They do say good things about him. Like to his family, he's been a pillar. He's been, somebody that holds them together. And I think, people will remember him for so many things, especially him being Mr. Integrity. For somebody that is such a leader and such an enigma, and to see him in his humble self, it's something very, it's amazing. And I think, yes, on average, history will be good to him because I think he tried his best and left the rest for, the ones who could finish it up. So, yeah.
Considering the mixed reactions on the internet, especially social media platforms, on the death of the former president, what do you think Nigerians misunderstood most about late former President Muhammadu Buhari?
I think they misunderstood his intentions. His intentions were good for Nigeria, but like I always said, sometimes the system doesn't allow you to do what you're supposed to do. Not until the system is fixed, that is when everything will go well. But as it is, any leader that comes will receive that. And no matter how popular you are, no matter how knowledgeable or how much capacity you have as a leader, once you assume the position of power, your popularity drops because the expectations are high. And then you find out that there are so many obstacles that you would have, along the line while trying to carry out your assignment as a leader. So I do understand that some people misunderstand his intentions, and he only tried his best and left the rest. So I think if only we had, an opportunity to see people from the heart, it would be easier for us to judge.
That's right. Yes. And if there is another chance given to you to speak to Baba again, what is the most important thing you would like to say?
How much I see him, the person I see in him. I was supposed to go back 2 weeks after I had left Daura the last time, but I never did. We were supposed to go to the farm, take a walk and stuff, and it never happened. So I wish I could have, tried a little bit harder to get to see him, but I didn't. So these are things that I wish I did.
And lastly, for people that were jubilating or jubilated about the passing of the late former president, what is that one thing you like to say to them? And what is your message to the family of the deceased former president?
Well, for people jubilating, he was not late to go, or he wasn't early, as they say in Hausa, and we're not late to go. Every soul shall test death, and kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut, yes. And inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. It's really sad to see people jubilating over someone's death or misfortune, to say, because you do not know how you will end up. And I feel like you don't come between a servant and his God.
Sure.
So you just, so I just want to tell people that it's not a good thing they're doing. And I think they should take back all those things that they're saying, because you don't know how you end up. And that is the scariest part. And the thing is, this death is coming for everybody. It knows everybody's house. It doesn't matter how well secured you feel you are, or how inaccessible you feel you are. Death is coming. And to the family, it is with deep sense of sadness that I say this. May Allah grant him Jannatul Firdaus. May Allah forgive his shortcomings. And may Allah illuminate his grave. And we will, anytime you see them, just be kind to them, because you do not know how much it is to lose a person close to you. It is a very sad thing. I know sometimes it might feel like it's a lie, but it's true. And what we should do is to look back at the memories we had with him, good memories, and just pray for him.